What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we are going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over Johnathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers run. And we're going to pick up with Avengers number 12 and 13. Now, with these two issues, we're going to have a storyline take place in the Savage Land. But this is another story that shows how Ex Nihilo has done something amazing to the human race. And we're going to focus on a bunch of children. And you'll see what I mean as we go through this book right here. So if you enjoy today's comic book video, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. But here we go. To begin today's video, we pick up with Thor thinking about the last few things that had happened to the Avengers, because he is thinking about how the universe is falling apart. But that is when he is confronted by Iron Man, who then tells him that they need to talk about something. He wants to talk about the children from one of the spots where a genetic bomb had hit. The children that came from the Savage Land. Because remember that when it comes to Ex Nihilo, he has sent genetic bombs down to Earth to hopefully make the Earth have sentient life, but to also make the human race better than it was at first. That is what the story is bringing up now, because we see Iron Man showing videos of the children to Thor to point out that right now the children have no need for food, sleep, and on top of that, they don't need air when it comes to them swimming underwater. They are at perfect health as well. And to Iron Man, they are beyond human. They could be on Thor level, since Thor is a god. But this begins the next part, where Thor and Hyperion are going to teach the children how to survive out in the world. They need to learn how the world works because it is natural for any species to learn how to survive or how to adapt to the world they are born in. But this Iron Man asking Thor and Hyperion to help out to hopefully to learn more about the children to see what will happen next with them. But when we pick up with Iron Man checking up with Hyperion, we actually see Hyperion beginning to speak about what he remembers about his old Earth. Of course, his Earth was destroyed by an incursion, but he was pulled out of the White Void by AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanic. But with him being here, he is trying to make sure it doesn't happen to this Earth. Either way, you have Hyperion say they have broken the kids into multiple groups, and they will have the groups come together to teach each other what they have learned from their instructor. So this group is with Spider-Man and Hyperion, and they are working on building trust between each other. The second group is with Thor at the moment. When we actually jump over to Thor, we see him trying to tell the children a story, hoping that it will inspire them to be like warriors. So what Thor is going to do is have the students work together to figure out how to look for a rock together and bring it back to him. So of course, his group is learning a completely different lesson than Spider-Man and Hyperion group are working on. We actually get a page to come to find out that Spider-Woman and Hawkeye are actually working with another group as well. By the way, they are doing these studies in the Savage Land, but these two are really not watching their group. They're using the sun in the Savage Land as a way to get a tan. But honestly, that is it for the moment for these characters. We then pick up with the character we actually learned about back in our Uncanny X-Men videos, Garrock. Now, after his first appearance, he only appeared about 12 more times between that story and this one. His story is that a vessel was exploring the South Pole. It crashed and leaving one sailor alive. That sailor found the Savage Land, then he found a temple for the stone god, Garrock, except he found a drink in front of the statue, he drank it, and it turned him into Garrock himself. So he has become the guardian of the Savage Land. But the reason why we pick up with Garrock is because with him watching over the Savage Land, well, that is when he sees a random ship land in the Savage Land, and when it opens up, some hybrid creatures had came out of it, and of course to Garrock, he says this is only going to bring problems into the world. These hybrid creatures actually belong to someone else. Now we get into the conversation that goes on between Thor and Hyperion, because remember how I said in the beginning of the video, Thor was thinking about the ending of the universe. He's scared that whatever is coming the Avengers' way, they won't be able to handle it at all. Hyperion has seen a world end, but he is really worried about the children that they are taking care of, because they are wondering if all the attention, love, and teaching they are giving these children, is it worth whatever could be coming their way down the road. Now, while you have the Avengers working with most of these kids, they don't realize that some of the kids are missing. Some of those creatures Garrock has seen are going around kidnapping children. The reason why is because they are bringing them back to the bad guy of the story, the High Evolutionary. And he has had a hand in a lot of different Marvel characters' creation. He is a super smart character, and his whole history is kind of complicated. But he is going to study the children because he is going to tell the Avengers a secret about the children. Now, of course, we see him putting these children into different containers. And this is actually going to show something very interesting about the children. But of course, brings up a questionable thing to do with the children. Now, the Avengers are looking for the children. But on top of that, you have Hyperion upset that these children have gone missing. The reason why, because Hyperion really cared for those children. He is hoping that he will be able to find them and save them. On top of that, you have Captain Universe actually come out of nowhere to tell the Avengers that maybe she has something that could actually help the Avengers find the missing children. Of course, that person is Garrock, the person who watches over the Savage Land. And remember, he was the one who saw the creatures that had appeared in the Savage Land, the ones that were going around kidnapping the missing children, which means he is able to tell the Avengers what he has seen and where they need to go when it comes to saving the children. Now, the Avengers have been looking for the children for a while, and they weren't able to find the children. Of course, the reason why is because there is a hologram set to look like a mountain. And that is the reason why they couldn't find the children. So once you have Garrock show the hologram to the Avengers, well, that is the moment you have the Avengers rush into the area and get ready to attack. Of course, this tells High Evolutionary that the Avengers are here and of course could mess up their whole plan. So he has a secret weapon, but this weapon actually ties into the project he's doing with the children. But the Avengers are about to learn what powerful weapon he has under his belt. His hidden weapon is the Terminus. This actually first appeared back in Fantastic Four number 269. And it was a weapon made by the Terminix race as a way to kill the Celestials in the universe. Will actually get revenge against them. But with this being here, it requires a lot of energy for it to be working in the first place. So how is the High Evolutionary actually able to charge up this being in the first place? Either way, you have all the Avengers except Hyperion stay behind to battle the machine so that Hyperion can go ahead and save the children from the High Evolutionary. Now, Hyperion does not take long before he bursts right into the area and goes straight for the High Evolutionary, except when he confronts him, he doesn't let High Evolutionary explain why he is doing all of this in the first place. But once High Evolutionary has a moment to explain what is going on, he tells us that the children are like living batteries. That is something else special about them that makes them very intriguing. So again, Ex Nihilo bombs have done something else amazing for the Earth. But either way, you have Hyperion use his powers as a way to shut everything down. That means the Terminus as well, and the projects High Evolutionary was working on here in the Savage Land. But Hyperion was able to figure out that the children were put into those containers. Those containers were like battery cells, and the children just charge up the battery cells that powers up the Terminus. Really, the story ends with Thor and Hyperion once again having a conversation with one another about what they plan to do for the future. Can they actually save the future for the children and make this world a better place for them? Also, it is Hyperion kind of realizing that he is kind of like a father to these kids in some kind of way. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please hit the like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video.